a perfect world, this arm is completely stiff, and then this arm is propping here. And I'm building two skeletal frames on my opponent. Okay, but instead of committing to kind of a north-south or twister side control position, he drives his weight back into me and I get flattened out again. So I got to go back to just 2-on-1 bicep, and I build up on my near elbow. Okay, and then he ends up giving up his base. All right, welcome everybody to the latest Shark Tank here. I'm doing side control today with big man Mario. He's a purple belt and close to, I want to say close to 300 pounds. I'm just gonna throw that at him, even if he's, look at those calves. Those calves are like probably 50 pounds each. So being held down in side control by a big man, this is a constant problem in jiu-jitsu. Just laying down the ground rules here. He's trying to keep me smushed, submit me if he sees an opportunity, and I'm looking to recover my guard or get a reversal. So we're going to watch this and break it down. Start by looking to build some elbow frames. Okay, he's staying very tight hip to hip, which means that there's some upper body freedom. As you see me working my hands inside that bicep. All right, he's content to let me attack that arm, but he's staying super heavy on my hips. Okay. This is called Heisman framing. Marcelo Garcia made this pretty famous, attacking the bicep, because he would face a lot of guys bigger than him, and he'd have to creatively figure out ways to get their weight off of him here. So attacking this bicep here. I'm making some decisions, figuring out which direction he's going. Okay, here I'm looking to just stay inside that elbow crease. I'm figuring out which way I can turn on my side. My goal is to get a shoulder off the mat. Okay, and I'm able to get my near shoulder off the mat. We're gonna run it twice. I'll break it down a little further, but we're gonna run through again. This time, looks like he's tighter on my neck, and I'm just telling him to go easy on me for the camera, you know. Points my knees away. I think I was telling him actually he could go to mount if he wanted to. So there's him pointing my knees away. He's trying to get knee on belly here. Got the camera moving around a little bit. Staying inside. I want to think of myself like you want to get really small in mount, like you're an amoeba. When you're in any kind of bottom pin, you're like an amoeba. You're like a single cell organism. You just want to fit through the cracks of your opponent's control. So that even works better if they're bigger than you, because it's really hard for them to maintain inside position. My whole goal is to get elbows and knees inside. I use turtle here, a turtle sit through, to attempt to recover guard. Far side underhook, but he's got a leg scoop on me. He's trying to get a Kimura on me now. I go flat between his legs, trying to get my knees inside, and I end up escaping. All right, we're gonna look at, before we move on to my next opponent here, we're gonna move back and look at both matches, because we're gonna see how his behavior changes, how my behavior changes. So, like I said in the beginning, he's really tight to my hips. Okay, and so the more I shrimp out, the more he's gonna follow me and drain my battery. So I don't devote my energy to shrimping out, where I'm just gonna carry his weight. Okay, because right now, let me just illustrate this. If I shrimp right now, I'd be fighting both his arm right here, as well as his hip weight on this side. He's got a total sandwich with his hips on my hips. So if I were to devote energy to shrimping out, I would just drain my gas tank. So instead, I devote my energy to attacking that one, his bicep, 2-on-1 bicep control. Okay, where I really fight to get inside that elbow crease. So when we look back here, okay, in order to get to that 201 bicep control, I focus on getting both my fingers inside my cheek, creating a reinforced frame with some kind of gable grip, okay, and then just creating pressure right there, okay, because there is a hips shoulders dilemma when it comes to side control. He can either put up more of his weight and body distribution toward my hips or more toward my shoulders. He chose hips, so that meant I had more space to work for that bicep. Okay, here I'm just keeping tabs on his. I would rather be on his bicep, but I have to take his wrist right now because that's what's available. And I'm looking for an opportunity to turn on one side or the other. You see, I just tried to turn into him, but I couldn't. His weight was too heavy. I was trying to prop up on my near elbow. I was trying to prop up here to build shoulder height, but he put his weight down on me. And if I kept committing to that, I would have gotten stuck. Okay? So there's a left-right dilemma here, or a near-side, far-side dilemma. As I see him starting to turn, I start to think about, oh, maybe I'll get up on my other elbow and get up on my build near shoulder height. We're going to look at this moment in a second here. So I start to think about it right there. Okay, let's go back here. Okay, because that's like a regular Heisman escape. Okay, so right at this moment here, my goal is to build an elbow prop with this elbow here. Okay, I wanted to place my elbow like right around here and keep this grip on his tricep. There's like a little elbow bone that you can see right here. I just drew a fish almost. There's a little bone there, and that's what I really want to grip onto with a stiff arm. In a perfect world, this arm is completely stiff, and then this arm is propping here. And I'm building two skeletal frames on my opponent. Okay, but instead of committing to kind of a north-south or twister side control position, he drives his weight back into me and I get flattened out again. So I got to go back to just 2-on-1 bicep, and I build up on my near elbow. Okay, and then he ends up giving up his base because if he stays glued hip to hip, that means that the more shoulder height I build, okay, he insists on saying glued to my hips. That just means I can get up to my knees. We sometimes forget that. Just get up to your knees, and your opponent pays for sandwiching your hips. Okay. The next one was more just like reaction balling up. So I'm actually not going to go over that one in too much detail other than Kimura attempt here. Go flat, elbow to floor. Okay, just got to detect that anytime your opponent goes for Kimura. Okay, and then off the scramble of him moving around, I escape. Okay, we're moving on to the next one. This is with a white belt here. Okay, so the first we're going to start this from the top here. Okay, so this next one is with a white belt, which means that I have a big skill advantage. So I'm just looking for a basic knee elbow escape. Knee elbow shrimp escape. I fit my knee in. Close guard recovery. Bam. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Let's look at the next rep. He's going to make some adjustments, I'm sure. He's doing a good job keeping his head low, trapping my far arm here. Okay, so if I were to try to swim that arm over, he could attack potentially Americanas and stuff. So I have to just kind of hug for now. Hug around his head. And I'm fighting for knee elbow connection, get my side guard back. He's doing a good job keep my knees pointed away. Let's see how I handle this problem. He's really driving a lot of weight to that far side. But he gives up half guard. And I put in a lockdown. And this would be technically over, but I still look for a close guard recovery. Okay, so that was pretty straightforward. I'm not going to break that down. Now it's me on top. It's my revenge, or their revenge, however you want to think about it. Okay, so I'm in top side control. Got Mario, big guy. He usually flings me off like I'm like a fly on an elephant. So I preemptively go to north-south flat mode. North-south flat mode is a way better way to control a bigger opponent than standard side control, because you cover their head and you can really drive weight toward their hips. Tries to explode me off there. I just switch sides. Neon belly is a good thing to do when they're building frames, because it creates distance so their frames don't count for as much. Notice I'm always got a lot of moving camera here. All right, notice I'm always getting wedges in his head. I know he's going to eventually build up the turtle. Okay, I can't really stop him from coming up, but I can use it to set up a head and arm guillotine right here. He flings me off. I maintain my chin strap and elbow control. And I'm gonna take another shot at this head and arm guillotine, except this time create better anchors. He tries to turn into it. Let's break that down there. So north-south, we're going to go to initially just the concept of when I start in standard side control, okay, my first mover are my hands. Let's pause right there. Okay, so first off, whenever I want to go north-south flat mode, because that's really the end game, either full mount or north-south flat mode. You don't want to spend too much side in standard side control against a skilled or bigger player. This hand sneak to the near hip is my first thing. It's my first mover because it kills this knee-elbow connection. Okay, he's trying to connect this elbow to this knee. As soon as I put this hand in here, it shuts down his ability to do that. Okay, we're gonna see next mover is my crossface goes for a reverse crossface, covering his neck there. Okay, he still has good frames on my hips. I don't like this. I feel like he's about to fling me off, so I'm really trying to get over the top toward north-south position here. I have to switch sides. Neon belly. Okay, again, neon belly's a really good it's a transition position. It's not a place you want to stay for very long, but I see him building good frames. He's about to fling me off again. And so when I go neon belly, I build height upward. Okay? His frames count for less because he has nothing. He almost can't reach me. He can't push me much further. So he just uses his hands now. Then I use that to transition to north-south flat mode. One hand to near hip, the other hand to a reverse crossface. See, my one hand is we call that a wall of flesh in 10th planet terminology. And then he builds hip height, and it's front headlock time. Okay, here's a race to create a long arm situation here. And I go for this head and arm guillotine, which is different from a no arm guillotine. That one I failed to establish good connection. I kind of rushed it, but I rolled through to maintain. This one, I don't rush it. And it's basically a guillotine with a head and arm element. My oblique muscle here is driving into him and creating a side-to-side trash compactor. So normal guillotines were driving up and into the neck. This one's more side-to-side, getting their artery, their shoulder to drive into their artery. Like a head and arm katagatame choke, like an arm triangle choke. Okay. Now I'm back in north-south flat mode. This is the next round with him. I'm looking to go for a back take, and he recovers there. Okay, I was thinking about as he started to turn in, which I couldn't really stop because he's a big dude. I was thinking about doing a hop over to his back. Okay, so I put this tight waist. Let me fix where we are here. I put this tight waist on him here. See my hand right there. Okay, and that's supposed to be my anchor to jump over. Okay, what I want to do is cut my knee over the top and go for a kind of a rolling chair sit back take. I'm waiting for him to commit more. He gets up to his knees and then he sits back. So he kind of deked me there. Okay, he was acting like he wanted to come up to his knees, and he waited for me to look to hop over, and he flattened out and got his guard back. So good on him. Guard recovery, and that's a reset. All right, now I get my chance at back on Harmon here. Let's go to the next one. Okay, starting in standard side control, he gets inside position. I'm mainly looking to go to north-south in these exchanges rather than full mount, just because that's the theme I was following today. Once again, that near hip control and that far side head control, kind of a reverse crossface. We end up on this merry-go-round. Okay, he's building a strong cross frames here, and I see the setup to go short Darce. Break him down, shoot a long arm. I like this belly down Darce situation. Let's watch that real quick. So we want to, when our opponent builds good cross frames, specifically whenever I see my opponent reaching, bam, right here. Okay, whenever you see your opponent posting on their hip with this cross frame right here, okay, that or an underhook, but anything where his elbow is crossing his center line, okay, that's when I start thinking about Darces. Now the mistake that most people make on Darces is they shoot a long arm too soon. What we want to have is an anchor. We want to focus on is the back of their neck first. Okay, and this is something, let's see how I did on it. I think I could have done better. Right there, I'm covering the back of his neck. Okay, I'm getting my elbow behind. And then I didn't like that he built up to his knees before I got locked to the figure four. So I had to go vice grip, 3/4 Nelson, and break him back down. Shoot a longer arm, lock the bicep. And then just engaging basically a downward trash compactor. I'm dropping my chest right on his tricep and pulling my elbows up toward my ribcage. It's like I'm trying to crack a walnut between my shoulder blades. If you could see it, you'd see my shoulder. If I was wearing a shirt, you'd see my shoulder blades kind of pinching together and retracting, as they call a scapular motion. All right, I'm gonna get another shot at him here. He's gonna get another shot to escape. Side control. I go straight to north-south flat mode again. I see him just balling up, inside elbows. Oh, now his arm gets isolated outside. Pinning, controlling. Keeping, one thing about north-south flat mode is we want to really focus on, it's all about killing the hips. So we're keeping our shoulder pinning his belt buckle in his hip crease here. That's the key. with north-south flat mode. Okay, driving weight, our shoulder into the belt buckle until I start thinking about attacking chokes or arms. Then I start to shift a little bit north toward the head. Okay, he is outside arm position, so he's just kind of pinned here. He's trying something here. It's not the smartest route to escape, but he's figuring things out here. I'm seeing if maybe I can set up a Darcer Anaconda off that arm isolation. Then I see there's just a topside Kimura right there. So I'm going to go Kimura. And immediately my favorite submission lately is a Tairiko Plata. So rather than trying to crank his arm behind his back, I just want to use my lower body power to do that. I let go of the Kimura. I get a nice deep arm. I'm applying slow shoulder pressure. Is one you got to be careful on. Very slow, driving my elbow to my ribs, controlling his legs as we roll through as he's trying to relieve the pressure. Keep controlling his legs. He's got to surf his movement and keep applying pressure there. Real quick, let's just break down that Tairiko Plata. So we're always looking for Kimuras on the top arm. Covering the head, we're in Kimura straddle here. Okay, in order for me to throw, so in this classic Kimura situation, it's really hard to put our opponent's hand behind their back. They grab their stomach, they grab their leg. Okay, so it's not impossible, but it's hard to get to win this sideline battle here, getting his hand behind his back. So that's what the Tairiko Plata is for. It's meant to make that not necessary. So I throw my left leg over. That takes a little bit of mobility, but what it really takes is lightening. You couldn't see it, but I lighten my weight distribution on my right leg here. Sorry, I made this knee heavy. Okay, this knee right here, I put a lot of weight on it, which makes this foot light, and I can just kind of throw it over. Okay, so I'm throwing that over now, and now I release my Kimura grip to balance on my hand, and now my legs are taking care of the power. Okay, just gripping my thigh here, and the braking mechanic of a Tairiko Plata. Okay, we're gonna pause right here real quick, even though the finish doesn't happen here. So his hand is refusing to, he's refusing to put his hand behind his back. So it's just trapped in front of his stomach, and my leg is trapping it too. My braking motion is this elbow rowing in the backward direction. Okay, I'm rowing it backwards, and it's driving a fulcrum of my forearm into his humerus bone. Okay, and it's pulling his shoulder basically out of its socket this way. Okay, it's a high pressure lock on the arm. I'm constantly just rowing that elbow to my ribs. Okay, this anchor to the leg is crucial. Okay, this hand anchor here, just tracking his motion. Or if I don't connect to that leg, then he'll roll out and escape like he would an omoplata. But I keep that anchor attached to his leg. And then my braking mechanic here is elbow rowing to the floor or my ribs. I'm just driving my elbow downward. I still have a deep anchor and deep grip on my own thigh there with that hand. Okay, and is driving a fulcrum into his humerus bone that you can see underneath here. And you can see his hand starting to go behind his back anyway. So he's going to slowly tap right there. Okay, lots of shoulder pressure. Okay, so that was the end of the side control Shark Tank. This is a classic situation. The reason, let me get myself in the center of the screen here. So the reason I'm doing these videos is just because there's so many jiu-jitsu lessons where it's do as I say, not as I do, because there's so many details and so many things to pick up, and so many situations in a jiu-jitsu role. So, so both offensively and defensively, all the techniques I use are meant to be used for. I select my techniques that have longevity in them, meaning I can do these techniques for the rest of my career. My goal is to be able to do jiu-jitsu till I'm 80 years old, and really, yeah, use techniques that won't break my body, and will also work against the highest of the high level competitors. I don't expect to be able to compete at ADCC anymore, but I do want to be able to roll against anybody in the world and hold my own and be a threat, and yeah, just be as technical as possible and have fun doing jiu-jitsu. Feel like I'm constantly building progress, building skills, and making progress, and that's what I want for you guys. Otherwise, you're going to get stuck in this injury rut where you're just constantly on the shelf getting injured, or you'll feel stuck not making progress because you're just collecting random techniques from class to class, forgetting from class to class. So side control, top and bottom, is one of our core positions we want to keep improving, and that was the point of today. So hopefully you learn by osmosis, and I'll continue to put out content like this of do as I do, not as I say. All right, let's all keep growing together. Have an awesome day.